channel right there, like there.
This bitch. Be nasty in 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 this bitch. Be nasty. It's gonna be loud up in here. 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 It's gonna be loud up in here. 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 Be nasty in this bitch. 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 And I'm throwing that shit on top. 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 Give you space, but you want this beat. You ain't ready for this rag and have several seats. Rich on production, can even spin over the beat. Don't believe in crowds and disbelief. Steady dropping jewels, little nuggets and streets. Yes, you reckless with my name, already got teeth. Never play fair, always more cheap. Think I want your food, you don't eat what I eat. Steady spraying lies, ain't got one receipt. Every fuck I gave was very as seed. You slave to the industry, but you better than me. You calling me a freak, but you ain't better than me. You ain't disrupting my peace, you ain't causing me grief. Better step off before I fire release. You want that smoke, summer babies got heat. You got one more time, and I'm a push to leave. Be nasty in this bitch. 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 And I'm throwing that shit on top. And I'm throwing that shit on top. And I'm throwing that shit on top. And I'm throwing that shit on top.
You ain't better than me. You ain't more than me. You ain't better than me. You ain't more than me. You ain't better than me. You ain't more than me. You ain't better than me. You ain't more than me.
Ooh-wee, I love the introduction to that song. So today I wanted to give a little mild monkey suit. Sit at the table with the house niggers. Sometimes you gotta eat with a salad fork. You got to put on a label. And you gotta sit at the table with the house negroes and pontificate. So, wait, hold on. So I wanted to address some things that were said, some things that have been said.
First of all, there's no comparison between me and a lot of the girls, much less the girl that I have recently been having a exchange of discord with. You know, there's been some discord, and out of that discord can come necessary topics. You know, it's that song, that old gospel song, for my good. You know, sometimes negative things happen so that positive things can manifest out of a negative situation. Amen, amen. This is not a comparison, and I notice that we as black people, we love comparing feminine beings to each other. We love comparing Beyonce to Rihanna, Rihanna to Sierra. Like, there's just this need to compare black feminine beings to each other. What I do is spiritual development. What I do is abolition work. Some of y'all need to go Google that. And what I do is freedom fighting. So those are the things that I do. And I use my art, my storytelling, my observation, all of my talent to do that. These paintings here, this reminds me that the vagina, the yoni, power too. It is sovereign too. So when I look at that image, I'm reminded that there's power in the pussy power. When I see this, it's not just a feminine being taking a penis inside of them, but it is a being having space to accommodate big things. So it's reminding me that you have space, you have capacity, you can hold this, you have the space to hold this. You are built for this. You can take it. It's not just about a dick. It goes over y'all head, but it's not just about a dick. It's reminding me that I have the space. I have space. I can make space. I have capacity. Amen, amen. And this right here is beings gathering in a circle, and they're healing. They're healing each other through sound, through noise. It's sound waves, and they're healing each other. And medicine doesn't always taste good. You know, medicine, whether it's herbs, whether it's stuff that you get over the counter, it doesn't always taste good. You know, I know that living in this society, you know, we think that everything is just supposed to be magical and not without any friction, but medicine, living with HIV for almost 21 years, I have a relationship with herbs and medicine, and so I understand that medicine does not always taste good. Medicine does not always feel good. But just because medicine doesn't feel good, that doesn't mean that we're not supposed to take it. So I feel like it's the appropriate time to have this video, to do this video talking about this, because we just had the BET Awards recently, and that's what everyone is talking about. And in the black community, there's this theme of making celebrities our teachers, our biggest role models, or our biggest real models. Like, we put celebrities on a pedestal, and we expect celebrities to guide us to freedom and liberation, and that's just not the case. You know, I'm not putting down celebrities, I'm not attacking celebrities, but I'm being honest about the fact that oftentimes celebrities are becoming more connected into the reality. They're becoming more connected into the systems and the institutions that have been traditionally responsible for our oppression. In order to do the work that they do, in order to tell the stories that they tell, in order to be visible and to be seen, they oftentimes align themselves with the very thing of oppression. As an abolitionist, what becomes hard is you don't really get the same amount of visibility. You don't really get the same amount of opportunities because of the nature of your work. Your work is to stand against. And so comparing me to that person whose name that I said I wasn't going to say anymore, comparing me to that person is like comparing Asada Shakur to Beyonce. It's like comparing Harriet Tubman to Dorothy Dandridge. You know, and I know that Dorothy Dandridge died of suicide, so this is in no way disrespect to her, but this is just a reality check. It's apples and oranges. The only thing that we have in common is that I think we're both funny. We both have melanin, a lot of it. We're both from the South, and we both can identify with the trans experience. Beyond that, the comparisons, y'all just, people are just basically reaching. So, I just want us to understand that freedom fight, revolutionary work, abolish, the work of abolition, it looks different, and if you're not about that work, what I'm talking about is not going to make sense to you. There was somebody in the comment section today, and they said something along the lines of, they was talking about something that's going on in the Supreme Court. And I think it has to do with like the Supreme Court opting out of, they supported not giving trans youth surgeries and medical care before they're of age. Now, I've already stated my standpoint on that. I personally, even though I started experimenting with hormones at a very young age, I was still in my grandmother's hormone pills when I was about 13 or 14 years old. And I used to, wish that I could have got the hormone pills. I used to wish I could have started my transition earlier. But in reality, what I would love to see for this generation is a society that has a third gender, where children are allowed to be that gender until they figure out if they want to be a part of the binary. So there's a third gender that you respect, and you give children that space, so that way they don't have to feel pressured to change things at a young age. That's what I feel would be best, because I didn't necessarily need to change my body to become a girl, but if I would have felt supported and seen as a whole human being, and I would not have been forced to label myself either or, and I would have just been respected as they or them until I figured out where I fit and where I wanted to be, that's what I want for children. I don't want them to feel forced to have to pick a side. I don't want them to feel forced to have to say, I'm a girl or a boy. I don't want them to feel forced, because when you feel forced, then that's when you feel like you have to start making physical changes so people can respect what you're saying. So I want to create a society where our youth don't feel forced to pick a side. Now, someone said to me, while you're arguing with her, you need to be worried about the laws that the government is creating to harm trans people. I am from Louisiana. I've talked about this multiple times, but I'm going to entertain you again today. We never had laws that protect us in Louisiana. You can't miss what you never had. And now they're incorporating more laws. Right now there's a law where children have to use the bathroom that aligns with their birth sex. They have to use the name that they were given at birth, and they have to use the gender that they were given at birth. It's the Don't Say Gay bill. That's going on in Louisiana right now. They're also putting the 10 Commandments in all of the schools. The 10 Commandments have to be visible in all of the schools in Louisiana. So don't come telling me about what the Supreme Court doing, because I've never been under the delusion that the government cared about us. The only reason why we have gotten the opportunities that we've been getting is because it was a money grab. It was a cash grab. They needed that energy and those resources to fulfill the next phase of whatever the agenda is. I started reading over 2025, and a lot of people are scared of it, but I read some of the bases of it, and it's not all trash. It's not all trash. But because a narrative is being spent and a lot of y'all are not able to think for yourselves, you don't realize this is an opportunity for us to transmute energy, for us to do some form of alchemy, for us to turn lemons into lemonade, and for us to spin straw into gold. That is the work of this platform, is learning how to take negative situations and turn them for your betterment, for your benefit. Learning how to take a negative situation and pull positive energy from it. Learning how to transmute energy. That is something that I have been practicing for a long time, and I've had to make myself vulnerable in order to achieve that. I've had to be humiliated. I've had to be embarrassed. But like Whitney Houston said, that's where you learn your strength. That's when you get the opportunity to see what you're made of. That's when you get the opportunity to be the phoenix and to rise from the ashes, and to not only show yourself, but to show those who bear witness to what happened to you, who you are and whose you are. So rather than me being distraught, and rather than me giving henny penny energy, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, I would rather find my peace inside of me. So while the storm is raging, I don't lose my calm, I don't lose my cool, so I can be able to be an anchor and be strength to other people who might be blowing in the wind, who might not be as rooted as I am. That and I want to model that for other people. I want to show other individuals how to be more rooted so that we can help to keep others rooted. And so that when all of these ghosts come after us, so that when all of these things that they want us to fear and be afraid of, and they want to create panic, and this panic that creates division, and this panic that has us all scared, and all of this fear mongering and all this propaganda, in the midst of all this, you're still rooted. Because a lot of y'all, you talk about your faith and you talk about your religion, but when your religion is tested and when your faith is tested, you show us who you really are. You show us what you really believe. You show us what you're really about. So that's not my platform. My platform, like, I will talk about politics. I will acknowledge what's going on with the government. But at the end of the day, like my grandmother used to tell me, those people gonna do what they want to do. And you can invest all of that energy into trying to fight that, but I guarantee you, you'll become one of them before you actually change anything. I'm gonna say that again for the slow people. You'll become a part of the problem before you actually solve it. That's why I talk about in my song, if we want real democracy, we gotta cut the ties. Cut the ties. Oh, if we want real democracy, we gotta cut the ties. Bitch. And nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to do that. Everybody want to pretend like if we do this, this, and this, then it's gonna all of a sudden change something. And I just been being patient with the children. I'm like Celia in The Color Purple. I just stand back and wait to see what the wall gonna look like, cause y'all gonna do what y'all want to do. And I'm not finna be exhausting myself, wearing myself out, constantly trying to tell people that this ain't working, we need to do something different. No, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna continue to show up. Bitch, I be participating in stuff and I know the results, but I still come out. I still support. I still go into spaces and I still support things that I really honestly don't feel like, I'm like, what's the point of it? But I still come out and support because I believe in people. And the only way you can show people how much you love them is to stick by them. Even, it's like with a child. A child could be like, I want to play football and I'm going to be a football star and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And you looking at it and you like, child, this is not your gift. This is not your talent. This is not. But guess what? I'm going to keep going to your football games. I'm going to keep going to your basketball games. I'm going to keep supporting you because I love you. And I want to show up for you, even though I see where this is going. I would much rather be helping you develop where I see you're strong at, where I see your potential at. But until you come to that for yourself, all I could do is show up for you and support you. And so that's my take on a lot of things. I come out and I support a lot of people's visions and a lot of people's dreams and a lot of people's goals and a lot of people's work. But I be sitting here saying, I don't think that's, I see a lot of discrepancies in how it, but I will still show up and genuinely support. Genuinely. Because you have to have patience with people if you want people to have patience with you. You have to have grace for people if you want people to have grace with you. And so that is where I'm at in my journey. It's like just continuing to show up for my loved ones, continuing to show up for my community, whether or not I see how this is going to play out, like whether or not I think we're gonna actually get the results that we need. You gotta commend people for trying. You know, you gotta commend people for effort. You gotta commend people for having a vision and for committing to that vision. Because I know that my approach, it can be hard to digest because you have to really come to terms with the fact that it might not end well for a lot of people. Like people hear my conversation and it be too heavy. Like some of the stuff I be talking about, it be heavy. That's why it's three people on here now. Cause I be talking about some heavy stuff. But you have to realize that my reality has been different since I was a child. I've never had the luxury of not seeing the dark, the chaos that is in humanity. I remember, this is off topic, but I said I was gonna share this. So last night I was talking to my daughter, and I was thinking about the first time that I went to jail for a felony conviction. So I was about 19 years old. My boyfriend was 18. He might have been 17 going on 18, but I was 19. And we was living together in Bogalusa, Louisiana. And we had broke up because he wanted to be with a female because he wanted to make babies. In his mind, he felt like he wanted to make babies. He was going to still be with me. He was going to come back to me, but he wanted to make some children before he settled down with me. So he wanted me to be okay with the shit. So I wasn't. But he went to go and live with her. And I was okay with it. But he missed me. And instead of him saying, I miss you, he called me. And when he called me, he said, bitch, I'ma kill you when I see you. Bitch, I'ma kill your ass. So when he said it, the first thing I thought was, because people used to always say that I sounded like my grandmother, that me and my grandmother's phone voice sounded the same. So when he called me and said, bitch, I'ma kill you when I see you, the first thing I thought about was, what if my grandmother would have answered the phone and he would have told that to my grandmother, and my grandmother would have had a heart attack and my grandmother would have died. Like that's the only thing that I could think about was, what if this nigga would have said this to my grandmother and gave my grandmother a heart attack and my grandmother would have died. I'm not even 20 years old yet, remember, so I ain't got my critical thinking matter. Still a baby myself. So, I goes outside to my grandmother's shed and I get the hoe. You know the hoe you use to till the dirt when you trying to do a garden. And it was one of them old school hoes, so it was made out of that heavy ass metal on the end. They lived in I forgot what the name of that area is, but it was a cute little walk away from my grandmother's house. So I'm walking with my little hoe. I'm walking with the hoe. With the hoe. I get to his house where he's staying with the girl, kick the door open, and come in and just start hitting him with the back of the hoe in this girl house. Cause bitch, you done called and threatened, bitch. I ain't even worried about me. I ain't even thinking about my safety. I'm thinking about my grandmother. So when the police got there, cause they called the police on me. When the police got there, they took me to jail. They caught me like this. Cause I was about to hit him, and that time I might have killed him. Cause I was so mad because we had been fighting And by this time, I'm so worked up, I'm not thinking straight. So if they had to pull guns on me and point them at me to get me to put the hoe down, because I was literally about to connect that bitch with his head. So they arrested me. And they took me to the big prison in Franklinton. So, I had already started my transition, so I looked at very feminine. I then took a couple of hormones. I then started getting a little breast up here, a little breast tissue. I had some short colored hair like now. I was a lot smaller. And the dudes, the niggas was going crazy in the jailhouse. They was beating on the door. They was acting like hungry animals. So that made me a little scared, because I was like, "Ooh, Lord, these niggas about to be raping me up in here." So my grandfather was an important person at the jailhouse. So he called my daddy and told my daddy to come get me. And my daddy was able to sign me out of a $20,000 bond. But I was charged with aggravated burglary and aggravated assault. 2 serious ass charges. And I ended up getting off of them with 6 months probation. But I tell you that story to tell you this story. Even before I knew who I was, even before I understood why I was the way that I was, I have always been a warrior for my foremothers, for my female siblings, for my sisters, for my cousins. I've always been like that. I've always been a warrior for beings who were brave enough to walk in their femininity, for beings who were brave enough to be whole, for beings, like, even before I named it, even before I understood what it was, I have always been willing to die for these principles and for these ideas. I went to that house not knowing what was going to happen when I got there, not knowing what was waiting for me, kicked the door in and started fighting because because I thought about my grandmother. And so the work that I do now is me thinking about all of the queer people, because all of this is a manifestation of femininity in my mind. It's all connected to the divine mother, the divine feminine, and I feel like the reason why we are struggling so much as a nation, struggling so much as a race, struggling so much as a people, is because of how we have treated the divine feminine, how we have treated our mothers, our sisters, our siblings, whether they be biologically cis or whether they be trans. It's the relationship, it's the language, it's the religion, it's the spirituality. All of it needs to be unpacked. It needs to be decolonized, and we need to begin to look at the world through a broader lens so that we can have the respect and the thoughtfulness to be able to have those conversations that can begin to shape a more welcoming and more inclusive world for all humans, for all of us, like, so that we can be more thoughtful of the non-human beings that we share this planet with. And so in our leadership, leadership has to represent people who think about others before themselves. That's an important quality. And a lot of times when you exalt celebrities, You're exalting people who are not thinking about nobody but themselves. And so, do you want someone who is thinking about only themselves to guide you, to speak for you, to represent you? You have a lot of people who are being selected to be guides and to be teachers who are really only thinking about themselves. And so that's the difference. Like, even one time, this girl at school, she was bullying, she used to bully me. And I was scared of her. The girl was known for beating niggas' ass. She was a female. She was known for whooping niggas. I mean, she fought dudes. And I didn't want to fight her because I didn't want to get my ass whooped. But one day, my female cousin came home. My female cousin was friends with her. She got mad at my female cousin, and she bust my female cousin in the mouth and busted her lip. Now, mind you, I had just got off suspension because I used to have to fight all the time because I was so feminine. I got expelled from school because I was always getting into fights defending myself. Like, literally, always getting into fights. I didn't finish high school because I stayed fighting. So the girl bust my cousin in the mouth. Baby, all that fear that I had for that girl immediately went away. I thought about it. I slept on it. I woke up. I came up with a plan, and I executed it. I had a perm at the time. I had a little bob. I motherfucking ran my fingers through that bob, wrapped that girl around in a circle. I had a swim cap because I used to wear a swim cap to keep my hair from getting wet. I popped that swim cap over my head so she couldn't pull my hair. And as I was walking down to the bus stop, I didn't even think about it. As soon as I saw, I just walked up to it. Boop, 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 boop. I just started sticking her. Just boop, 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 boop. Baby, when I tell you, as soon as I got to school, they suspended me again. Then her and her boyfriend was looking for me with a gun for about 2 or 3 days. But I didn't care because I was standing up for my cousin. Standing up for my loved ones has always been my motivation. Standing up for people who I love has always been my motivation. Sometimes I don't have the courage to stand up for myself. But if I love somebody else, I become fearless behind them. That is what makes, that's what abolition work is. That's what freedom fighting is. When you care about other people so much, when you're so invested in others that you're willing to fight for them, that you're willing to stand up for them, that you're willing to speak up for them, that you're willing to be a voice for them. In Louisiana, when I got out of jail the last time, we were all scared to stand up to the police. We all believed that, this was back in 2009. This was the last time that I went to jail for like a long period of time. The last time I was incarcerated for a long period of time was, the longest period of time I've ever been incarcerated was 104 days. That was back in 2009. They arrested me because it was one, I don't remember, because the last 2 times I went to jail, I know it was bogus charges. So one time they took me to jail because I didn't want to give them my biological name. They had been legally changed. And then another time they took me to jail because I was trying to get a ride to the West Bank and I didn't have no money for no cab, and I didn't feel like waiting for that bus because it would have took me about 2 hours to get home. So I was trying to get a ride, and the police officer picked me up. Never talked to him about prostitution, never talked to him about sex, none of that shit never came up. The nigga was giving me a ride, and all of a sudden he just pulled over, and the next thing you know, I was in handcuffs at the jailhouse. So that was entrapment. So the last time when I was in jail, I stayed in jail for almost 4 months. When I got out, I stood up to the police. I went to POD, is it DOP or something like that. I went to this place where you go to file complaints against the police officers. I wrote a letter. The letter was not only published in the local gay paper in New Orleans, but it was also used. They also took a clip of it and they put it in Lancet magazine. And the Human Rights Campaign got it put in a national medical journal, and that's what paid for my first trip to Africa. So the first time I went to Africa was because of a story that I wrote about my last time being incarcerated. When I went in and I submitted that letter, the next thing you know, I was meeting with the woman, because her name was Arlinda Westbrook, and it was a black woman. And we met with her, and we started seeing the police department be reformed as a result of me coming home from jail and standing up and documenting, because no trans girls were coming forward. Other trans girls had started to come forward around that time. Dominique Morgan came forward. Wendy Gifty Snap came forward. My daughter came forward. Milan was doing amazing work. Girls, over time, more girls started to come forward, and we started to see a complete shift in how the law engaged with trans people. But that would not have been possible if one of us did not have the courage to first stand up. And the reason why I stood up to the police was not just for myself. It was because I knew I was making myself a target, but I stood up to the police officers for the same reason I get on the internet and I stand up to all of this other stuff. Because if we don't say anything, then we're complicit, we're compliant, we're saying it's okay, we're saying we accept this, we're saying that this is acceptable. So maybe some of y'all don't like the messenger, maybe some of y'all don't like the message. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna say this again. It's not personal. And if I'm going to hold institutions accountable, if I'm going to hold organizations accountable, if I'm going to hold law enforcement accountable, if I'm going to hold the police department, if I'm going to hold all of these people accountable, I am also going to hold my community and myself accountable. I'm going to talk about the ways in which we are complicit with our oppression. Because if you always focus on a bag, and they're not giving out a lot of bags for freedom fighting. They're not giving out a lot of bags for evolution, for abolishment work. They're not giving out a lot of bags for people who are trying to develop themselves in a way spiritually that acknowledges that we are whole, that we are both our mothers and our fathers, that there is a divine feminine and that there is a divine masculine, and that one is not lower than the other one. They are equal. There's not a lot of money being given out for that. And so when we put people on pedestals whose primary goal is to capitalize in a system that is designed to oppress certain groups of people who cannot perform in the way that the colonizer or our massa expects for us to maneuver, if we are exalting people who who are wrapping themselves more in the institutions, wrapping themselves, becoming a part of the institutions and the organizations that have been traditionally responsible for our oppression. If we are exalting these people, how are we working towards actual liberation? If we're not even willing to have a conversation about the difference between celebrity and freedom work, freedom fighting, if we're not even willing to have this conversation because we don't want to speak against certain people or we don't want to call certain people out, how are we ever going to get to the mark of actual liberation? These conversations are not going to be cute. They're not going to be like, I apologize if I'm not going to come on here and blame the government all the time. If I'm not going to come over here and blame white people all the time. Because I know that's what y'all would rather see me do. You would rather see me come on here and act and blame white people and blame the government all the time. But we have to address the ways in which we are complicit. We have to address the ways in which we are aligning ourselves with the problem. And yes, I have to navigate capitalism. I have to navigate patriarchy. I have to navigate colorism, sexism, and white supremacy. I have to be up on the plantation too. But it still doesn't stop me from being transparent about how I feel. I admit, sometimes I gotta do a little tap dance too. Because as I said, it ain't no money being given to abolition work like that. It's not no money being given to freedom fighting like that. So you gotta find another way in. But a lot of us, we go in and we pretend like that's the goal, like we really going up in there to really try to make a difference for community. But bitch, you really only thinking about yourself. And all I'm saying in my videos is say that with your chest. Get up in front of the camera and pretend like your motives are really to help your community. Your motives are that you really for the people when you're not. If you about yours, if you for yourself, say that's what it is. But don't give me a cup of shit water and tell me it's a chocolate milkshake. Don't give me a cup of piss and tell me it's lemonade. And for the people who support that, for the people who support people who just out here trying to get their bag, for the people who support people who just out here trying to get their money, and you coming in my comment section dick riding for them, you coming in my comment section dick riding for them, say that. Say, hey, you don't want to, I don't need you to talk to me about liberation. I don't need for you to talk to me about freedom fighting. I don't need for you to talk to me about any religion unless it's about King Jesus. And then get off my channel. But don't try to make it look like you know my intentions. Because my whole documented experience speaks to who I am. I've had doors closed in my face. I've missed opportunities. I've been shunned by community because I will not relent. There are girls who won't be seen with me publicly because they don't want it to affect their bag. I pay for the decisions that I make. I stand 10 toes down, and guess what? As a result, I miss out on opportunities. But I am not going to relent. I'm not going to keep my head down and be quiet. I'm not going to eat what's being put on my plate simply because that is what our people have traditionally done. I'm not afraid to rock the boat. I'm not afraid to ask questions. I went to seminary school for 9 months, and the teacher called me the devil's advocate. Again, it's not me picking, it's me playing the whole tape. Then y'all say, y'all try to make it look like somebody hating and don't want to see these people win. Bitch, how many times they gotta win? How much do you need to win? You ain't won enough yet, bitch? How many times, bitch, like y'all are complicit in y'all, like, we know the extreme, how wealth is so unevenly distributed in this nation. And y'all watching motherfuckers go from millionaires to billionaires, and when somebody say something about it, they hating, they jealous. Bitch, how much do this motherfucker need to win? How many times? Like, you are literally complicit in your own oppression when you can't, when you watch a person gain more wealth than they need, more wealth that is being sucked out of the community, wealth that is not being evenly distributed. When you see this happening and you in the comment section talking about, oh, you just jealous, oh, you just hating because they live in a mansion. You do realize that the more wealth one person gets, that's resources that's being taken from a whole group of people. Like a whole group of people could have benefited from those resources. You do realize that, right? And so one person amassing all that wealth gives them the opportunity to become a gatekeeper and to determine how they're going to use that wealth to shape this particular society of people. If I ever got $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, if somebody ever just gave me that type of money, the first thing that I would do is I would create a council, not a board, but a council. And it would be comprised of people from from one end of the social spectrum to the other. There would be people who are unhoused. There would be people who are sex workers, people who are navigating addiction, people who are middle class and don't use it all, people who are people who have resources, who are considered somewhat wealthy. There would be people who are academics. There would be people who are non-academics. There would be people who are licensed medical practitioners, and there would be people who are holistic workers and healers. There would be people who are respected from community, and there will also be people who are respected in the institutions and the organizations. So I would bring this council together of all of these individuals, and all of the voices will be heard, and this is how we would decide is done with this money. I would not be the sole person to make decisions about how the money is spent. And I would never want to have to be. Now, if this was money that I earned on my own, because one of my songs hit or my book went viral, like my book just all of a sudden started selling, and I just one day woke up and I was a millionaire, the first thing that I would do for me personally is I would buy like a neighborhood. Like I buy a lot of land, even though you gotta pay taxes on that shit every year. So it really ain't sure, but I digress. But I would buy some land, I would build up a whole bunch of little bitty houses, and I would put people in them, and I would like model a community, and the community would be on a bartering system. And I would hand select people to move into the village who had different gifts. You would have different skills. One person might know how to sew. Child, it'll be like Smurfville. They own gifts, bitch. The Smurfs didn't need no money, bitch. The Smurfs didn't need no money, ho. Bitch, brainy Smurf, bitch. Handy Smurf, bitch. Seamstress Smurf Village, bitch. Bitch, like how the trolls be and the Smurfs be, bitch. Bitch, I have a Smurf or a troll for everything, bitch. And it would be a bartering system. We wouldn't use money. We would not use money. But we would have a team that would come together to work every year to make sure we can pay them taxes. To make sure that money is coming into the village so that we could sustain ourselves as a village. Like, so we could render unto Caesar what is Caesar. Because we ain't trying to have y'all coming in trying to take our land and take stuff from us. So we would have a special team that would be like, hey, look, we got to pay them taxes. We got to pay them taxes. We got to keep that monkey off our back. So we would have to have a special team that would come together every year and that would have to go out and travel and fundraise to get money to make sure that the taxes is paid. But we would have a whole village of people who just did trade, who just did bartering. And then after we've done this successfully for years, we would pitch it to other communities to make this a model so that we could bring that back. So we can bring back a civilization that is not controlled by capitalism. Because I get capitalism. Don't get me wrong. I get capitalism. I'm not confused about why capitalism is a thing. I just think that extreme capitalism has created such a disproportionate. It's made the gap between being rich and poor so big, and a lot of times people who don't have resources and people who don't have access, they're extremely uninformed. I don't want to use the word ignorant, but they're extremely uninformed, and that makes it all the more easier for them to become guinea pigs in these agendas that the government have. Like, I watch so many people get taken advantage of and get used and get railroaded and get tricked and get put in messed up situations simply because of the huge gap in wealth, the huge gap in resources. It's like, how can you do something different if you don't get the opportunities to? How can you experience something different if this is all you know, if this is all you've ever been exposed to. And so I want to create a community where the resource is your gifts, your talent, your skills, your craft, your abilities, your wisdom, your spiritual, your like, these are currencies. This is currency. This will be currency in the village. And we gonna come together to support each other to fulfill the dreams and the opportunities that we want. I think it's so horrible that now we've become a society that lives in neighborhoods and lives in communities where we don't even speak to our neighbor. Like, we live in community with people, we don't even speak to them. It's you live in the same building and don't know none of your neighbors. You don't speak to none of them. You're not cool with nobody. That's crazy. That's crazy. You so tired and wore out from the day. You done gave all you had up on the plantation. You done gave all you had to mass them. And then by the time you get home, you don't have no energy to even speak to your neighbor. You don't have no energy to even talk to the people in your building. You don't want to be bothered. You just want to go inside and shut your door and lay down and watch Netflix, bitch. It's exhausting just to think about it. So I realize that the things that I'm proposing to do is not for the faint of heart, because literally, honestly, and truly, our ancestors were such an easy mark for the colonizer when they came, because we didn't have weapons of mass destruction. You know, if you look throughout history, like, black people have never been associated with atomic bombs. We've never been associated with, great weapons of mass destruction. This is typically, every time you hear about a weapon of mass destruction, you always hear someone with lighter skin, someone who's very light skinned, who has these weapons of mass destruction. And I think there's a reason why we've never been associated with weapons of mass destruction. I think it's because there's something, like, collectively we have the power to do something that's probably always defended our people. We don't know what it is. But in all of my research, I've never heard about dark-skinned people, ebony people with possessing negritude having a weapon of mass destruction, or having, like, even when they came, they was the one who had guns. We had bow and arrows. We didn't have guns. And I realized that makes us vulnerable to attack. And who wants to be vulnerable to attack? Like, I get why some black people, it's important for them to climb up the ladder, for them to gain all of these resources, gain all of this access, because if a war pop off, they want to be able to protect themselves. They want to be able to protect their loved ones. They want to be able to protect their families. I get it. I understand. And I know that that's why it's hard for a lot of black people to get on this. Let's do the freedom fighting. Let's do the abolition work. Let's do the spiritual development. How that spiritual development gonna help me when this motherfucker got a gun in my face? When this father sucker got a gun in my, how is that gonna help me? I get all of that. I understand it. I do. And I'm gonna tell you something. I just think, and I just feel in my heart, that when people come together, things just shift, and we cannot be weak in our minds, like, because that's how they divide us. Like, you gotta know in your mind that you're not alone. You gotta know in your mind that you gotta have no doubt in your mind that you're gonna land on your feet, that you're protected. You gotta believe in the unseen. You gotta believe in forces that are unseen, that are there. And it goes back to spiritual development, the spiritual development part. You have to develop your spirituality so that you can create a force field, so that you can create your protection and understand that everything has an expiration date. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. So you gotta live in your purpose. You gotta walk in your purpose. You gotta make sure you walking in your purpose, and you gotta do that fearlessly, and you gotta do that relentlessly. That's why this work is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the faint of heart. And as you think, so shall your reality be. And so if you think that someone is always after you, if you think that someone's out to get you, if you think somebody's gonna harm you all the time, if this is how you think, then you're gonna manifest that for yourself. And karma will always find its way where it belongs. Our ancestors who got the short end of the stick, 400 years ago, who was conquered, who was murdered, who experienced all of those injustices at the hands of this society, they will be avenged. The bill is coming due now. And a lot of y'all don't even realize you're so busy trying to fight for your seat at the table when Martin Luther King told y'all, I may be assimilating my people into a burning house. Martin Luther King told y'all already. The house is burning. The food is spoiled. It's food poisoning going on in the house. The house on fire. It's food poisoning and everything, and y'all still trying to sit at the table. People around here, this is no shade. This is no shade to Beyonce. This is no shade to Jay. But people be around here bragging on, uplifting and all that. And every season, a new celebrity is being dragged through the mud and being exposed for all the shady things that they did to get to where they are. And y'all still happy to align yourself with these people. Y'all still so proud to be aligned with these people. and every season, another one is being exposed. Y'all be so happy to be aligned with these people. Y'all be so happy to say, I work with these people. I had an opportunity to meet this person. And then in the next season, this person is being exposed for all the monstrous things they did. How you gonna feel about being aligned with them then? Celebrity ain't what it used to be. It's not what it used to be. It's not what it used to be. The veil has been torn, honey. We could see behind the curtain, honey. It's not what it used to be. So while all of y'all so happy to be aligned with these people, and that you work with this person, and y'all be the media get a chance, when the media get to them and the media start exposing, guess what? What it does is expose things about your character. Because you were so happy to be aligned with this person. It starts exposing your values. It starts exposing your politics. Because you were so happy to be aligned with these people. So y'all could keep making idols out of these celebrities and keep exalting these celebrities. But at the end of the day, when the bill come due, it's not just coming for white people. It's coming for America. And a lot of people are not going to be able to walk. Y'all around here fighting, y'all around here, like, like, don't get me wrong. I don't hate America. I am not. A person who hates this country. I am not. I did go through my little phase where I was like, I was not very patriotic at all. I could love America. I could love the American people, and still understand that some things are just unavoidable. I'm not here for the business of America, but I am here for the people. I'm here for the people who just didn't know, who literally was just doing what they was raised to do. This how they was brought up. This all they know. Like, I don't fault people for that. I'm not so caught up in my own self that I don't understand that this is how some people were bred. This is all they know. This is what they were groomed for. This is what their parents taught them. This is how they came up. They were groomed to see the world in a specific way. That truth is not lost on me. When you love something, it makes you a hypocrite. But I am not so caught up in this illusion. I am not so asleep in a field of poppies that I am not able to have a conversation that is difficult. And that conversation is not always going to sound patriotic. It's just not. I'm not always going to sound like a patriot. But that doesn't mean that I don't love the people. I'm just not a fan of a lot of the politics. Let's be clear. It doesn't mean that I hate the people. It just means that I'm not always a fan of the politics. And unfortunately, I have to be the Maleficent. And I have to be willing to have those conversations and mirror it in a way that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, because a lot of us have just been trained to keep our head down and to get our bag. And while you're keeping your head down, getting your bag, the people beneath you, the people who will not be allowed at the table, the people who cannot perform in the way that you can perform, are not willing to perform in the way you perform, they're continuing to be harmed, exploited, treated like lab rats and guinea pigs while you're keeping your head down. And sooner or later, that trauma is going to spill over into your home. If we keep breaking people, if we keep discarding people, if we keep ignoring the problem, then eventually the problem is going to become so big that y'all going to be thinking y'all in communities, and it's going to be homeless people all around, camped around houses. It's going to be homeless, mentally unwell people, traumatized people, people who are navigating addiction all around your beautiful homes. This is what society is becoming. Y'all gonna be living in y'all palace, and as soon as you go outside, you're gonna literally have to have so much money that you're gonna need a helicopter, or you're gonna need a small airplane, or you're gonna so that you could avoid all of the shit that you're gonna have to wade through going out your doors. Y'all think that y'all gonna be able to move into these gated communities and y'all gonna be able to ignore all of the people that are being discarded by the institutions and by the government, the people that are being treated like guinea pigs and lab rats. Y'all think that y'all gonna be able to continue to avoid that? And sweetheart, you're gonna need an airlift. You're gonna need an airlift to get to your little galas, to get to your little red carpet events, to get to your vacation home. You're gonna need all of that. You're gonna need to keep making more resources that you suck from the general populace, the more resources that you suck from people, you're not going to be able to outrun this. You're not going to be able to outrun it. So what we need to do is we need more people to take off these gloves and get in that mud and get in the trenches and be serious about making a difference. Yesterday I went to my old job because I like to go in and I like to, check in on the people and see how they're doing. And everybody was so happy to see me. A lot of people, their face lit up when I went in. And I went in there because I needed to be reminded. That's another reason why I love coming to New York. Because New York reminds me of the strength of people. Like, it's some strong people in New York. I have so much respect for people in New York who are unhoused. Like, I have so much respect for them. Like, seeing, especially in the wintertime, seeing people who are homeless and can survive the winter. Like, to me, homeless and surviving these winters, like, that to me, like, I have so much respect for those people. I saw one being who looked like they was female, and they were walking barefooted in the cold, and their feet had built up like a callus on the bottom. Motherfucking feet look like a tennis shoe on the bottom. I'm like, I couldn't imagine being able to walk barefoot in the winter in New York. Like, that's some X-Men shit. Then I knew this one dude I was living in, when I was living in, like when I was unhoused, when I first got here. I'm unhoused now, but that's another story. But when I was unhoused, when I first got here, in 2018, before I got my apartment, I met this guy, and we were cool. Like, literally, we was cool. Like, we had known each other, like, we had been around each other twice in 2 different RSOs. And he was telling me this story about how he used to go to McDonald's, and after it was over with, when they would put the trash out, he'd take the trash and he'd take it with him, and it'd be, burgers in it that people didn't eat. It'd be a lot of food in it that people didn't eat. And he would take the bag and he slept in the subway. So, like, he would sleep in the subway at night. And he brought a big old bag of food, and he was under the subway, and he opened it up, and he'll take a burger for him, and then he set the whole bag of food over there, and all of the rats now would come and get on the pile, and they would eat it, and he would be right there while all of those rats were eating that food. And he'd take crumbs from the rat pile, and he'd bring them towards him, and he set one piece on his knee. And the leader of the rat pile came and sat on his knee and ate the food. A big ass rat sitting on his knee eating the food. And I'm like, I would never have the courage to do nothing like that. Like, that would scare all of the feces out of my body. Like, all of the feces in my body. It would, like, I would literally dookie myself. I would be petrified. But to hear that story about how he fed the rats, and the leader of the rats came and sit on his knee and ate the burger. And so he had a relationship with these rats. Like when I hear the stories that some homeless people tell me, I just have such a huge respect for people who have that type of connection to homelessness, to being unhoused, like that type of resilience. That's resilience. To take an environment that rats are controlling and that rats run, and to be able to sleep around hundreds of rats. If I'm trying to figure out how to solve a problem with rodents, that's the motherfucker I would want to talk to. So everybody has a space. Everybody has value. Everybody has gifts. Everybody has talents. Everybody has creative ability. We just have to be willing to put people in place who are willing to listen to people and meet people where they at. Not bougie, pretentious, stuck-up people who only want to make space for the same shit. I was telling somebody the other day on Facebook, one of my friends from years ago made a post and was talking about the flops at the BET Awards, who had on, who outfits were tragic and who looked a mess. And I'm like, but if everybody dressed the same, if everybody was clean cut and debonair and suave and crisp and chic and elegant, and if everybody all wore that, the awards would be boring as fuck. It would be bougie and it would be pretentious, and we wouldn't even be able to figure out what it is that we like or what it is that we resonate with, because there would be no diversity so that we could figure out what we resonate with more. If everybody was always dressed If everybody always gave that, how would you know what you like? How would you know where your tribe is? How would you know what you connect with? How would you know what's for you? And so we as a people have to stop thinking that we have the right to determine what's in and what's out and what's this and what's that. Make space for everything. People upset with me because my opinion is different. People upset with me because they feel like I don't have the right to speak on certain things because I haven't accomplished certain things. Like if I was saying the things that I was saying about that lady and I had a PhD and it was recognized by the institutions, y'all wouldn't say nothing. Do you realize, and I'm going to say this again, there's people out there that I just sincerely, honestly don't like. There's people out there that I sincerely don't fuck with. Do you ever hear me do videos about them? If I take the time to talk about you, that means I care. I don't address things. There are people out there I just don't like. I don't like everybody. I care about people, but I don't like them. And so if I speak on you, that means that I care. If I take the time to put words together to come out my mouth about a situation, that means that it means something to me. That means that I connect with it in some way. So a lot of y'all think that it's hating. Is actually very much the opposite. Cause girl, if I don't care, bitch, I'm not even much finna talk about you. I'm not even much about to acknowledge you. Do you know how many girls there are in the community that put out content and that say certain things? And bitch, I've never had an opinion. I've literally never had an opinion. Girls have inboxed me and said, "Why you don't talk about this girl? Why you ain't never?" Because it's not even on my radar. It's not even worth. It's not even worth talking about. This right here is not even. I don't see anything that I could connect with in this person's content. Anything that makes this person worth talking about. So why am I gonna? I've never cared. I've never been invested. So why am I gonna talk about it? The fact that I have talked about this woman all these years and have brought up this woman's name over the years should let y'all know one thing. I actually care about her. And really honestly and truly, I want her to be able to look over her life when she's older, and I want her to be able to be proud of everything that she's accomplished, but with thoughtful, not just get a bag, get a bag, get a bag, get a bag. I want, because I've seen a lot of people do things that they could not live with later on. I've seen a lot of people put themselves in positions that they wish they had not later on. And I can't jump in her inbox and say, hey, blah, 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 whoopty, whoopty, woo. So I get on the internet and say it. But if me and her had been sisters, if we had been close, I would never get on the internet and say half of the stuff that I said. I would have told her. I would have said it to her behind the scenes. I would have been that sister. I would have been like, say, blah, 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 whoopie woo. Bitch, we could argue about it, bitch. You can get mad, you can come out the bag, bitch, but this how I feel. Same thing with Hope. I spoke on Hope. Why? Because, girl, at one time, I was really, really, really just living. And now, I'm learning. Stop focusing on, like that's where I'm really getting with this. Like, just, I just have to, it is what it is at this point. Let people do what they do. Focus on your work, your brand, your craft, your art. Focus on that, and just let it be what it is. But I'm human, I get triggered, I see things, and they rub me the wrong way, and I speak on them. And if I'm gonna talk about it off camera, I feel like part of having integrity is being able to say what I said behind the scenes publicly. Everything that I've thought about Miss Netta, everything that I've said about Miss Netta, there has been no off-camera conversations about Miss Netta. Everything that I think about Miss Netta, I have said it in front of the camera. Everything that I thought about community members who are visible, I have said in front of the camera. Period. So a part of that is integrity and accountability for me. Bitch, I'm not just finna shoo in private and say my opinions in private. This is what I said. This is how I feel. So part of that is just about accountability. A part of that is just about me being honest about my thought process. So, if I'm in a space or in a place with someone, maybe you'll know better. Don't put me in the room with this person. Don't put us together. Bitch, imagine me never expressing how I felt about, never expressing my views about what I thought of her or how I saw her. And because I strategically played it like that, people was like, you know what? I want you to meet so and so. I want y'all to work together. I want y'all to do da 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 da. And now I gotta share space with this girl, and I got all of these feelings about her that I've never expressed and I've never worked through. And now I gotta be in the room with this girl. because I've never been honest about how I feel. But thanks to the fact that I've been honest, so Chell, I've been on here for an hour and a half. Grand Rising. Most people use it as, I believe, sexuality is healing. Come on. Love the energy. Speak it. Hey, Miss Lady. Love the art on the wall. Thank you. Okay. So let me light my candle. So 3 flames are lit, representing past, present, and future. I felt like this video was a collage of rambling, intellectual, spiritual art. It was a collection of things. we opened portals, and we went over here, and we went over there, and we went over here, and we went over there. We started off with a little mild shake to get the juices flowing. And I promise you, a little mild shake to get the juices flowing. But anyway, this was a very good live. I enjoyed talking and just really like clearing up some things and just being transparent about my work, my vision, and where I see everything going. Hold on. Yeah, so that was an important phone call. So it is time for me to wrap up this video. Thank y'all for coming on. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the people who have supported this. Thank you for the people who have been supporting me in the comment section on these videos. Thank you for, the new subscribers. It's a few hundred of y'all. It's a few hundred of y'all. Okay, I know that's right. But yeah, so I just thank you for all of the thoughtfulness, all of the thoughtful comments. I also thank you for the challenging comments, because that's actually what inspired this video. Some of the comments that were left when I woke up that I found, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna talk about this today. So I play dress up, let y'all know I can eat with a salad fork and wear labels and sit with the house niggas. No. Anyway, I love y'all. Down with the down that I say cool and keep spinning and turning. Ed Gotti, Iyoko Kalukalo, which means I am a child of God Goddess. This candle represents the past, the present, and the future. As I blow out these candles on the physical plane, it grows with intensity on the spiritual plane, preparing us for times that are now. A man, a woman, Layla Mela. I love y'all. Until next time, take care and be well. Purple ones, rise up.